Hi, I'm here with Leyde St Leger, incredible founding principal, former MD of schools in New York City. Leyde, thank you for joining me. Let's start with who are you, what's your role, and where do you work?
Leyde St Leger, proud founding principal of the newest high school in the Harlem-Bronx area for neighborhood charter schools.
All right. And Leyde, what's a question you always ask candidates, and why do you ask that question?
Typically, I try to figure out what the level of grit, perseverance a candidate has. My responsibility is to coach skills, which I'm extremely strong at. What I cannot coach is grit and perseverance. That's an intrinsic value that while interviewing, I have to just be able to see if I can see evidence of that, because as long as you can show up every day, I can fill in the rest of the puzzle piece in regards to your performance and day-to-day work.
I love that, Leyde. What's an example of a type of question you ask to get at grit?
Typically, a lot of my questions are grounded in like, speak to me about a difficult experience and how you navigated that. One is trying to assess what they consider to be difficult. Right.
That's really good. I wouldn't have thought of that.
And then two, what is the level of ownership in the situation that speaks to what they had to do in order to be successful and not what others had to do?
Yeah. So what's an example of like a red flag that comes out of that, would you say? I know I'm asking multiple follow-ups. I just want to hear it a little bit more.
I mean, often you get to the space in which I care less about how well someone can present themselves in an interview space. Mike Tyson has a quote like, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? And the reality is interviewing is not the actual full contact sport. Interviewing is an opportunity for ideal situations in which you get to think, not necessarily be under the same amount of pressure as having students walking through the building. When you think about like when we open the school doors, every day is a new day, right? And every day brings new variables. And so what I typically try to be really, really thoughtful about is what is a polished answer versus what is a real answer.
Ooh, I like that a lot. And we used to ask the same question, tell me about a time you failed. And then they'd tell us, and then we'd say, give us another example. Give us another example. And we would go after like 3 or 4 examples. I know that sounds kind of wild, but we wanted to know, like, do you have the kind of grit that you're talking about? Okay, Leyde, how do you help candidates get an honest, real understanding of what it's like to work at your organization? And you can talk about, as a founding principal or what you might do in this upcoming circumstance.
I think I ask questions that allow me to later on go back to pointing fingers back at the candidate and say, this is what I asked you in your interview. Right. And so if I ask you if you're feedback orientated, I'm not going to take a yes or no answer.
Right.
I'm actually going to ask you to expand on your response so that I can continue to dig, because there's going to get a point in space in which you are going to say, I am the definition of doing too much. And so for me, what I need to know early on is like, are you what you say you are? Right. Yeah. Because when push comes to shove, I'm not confused. My team will not be confused about what our mission is, who we serve, and who our client is.
Yeah.
And so that's grounded in understanding that we are always in a space where we're going to do the best for them. And that often means us as adults being uncomfortable, right? Because of the level of pivot change that we've got to exist in. And often people will say that they want that, but that's not necessarily what they really mean.
Right. You get I didn't sign on for that. It's like, we told you all these things could be possible. What's your secret sauce when it comes to closing strong talent? How do you get people to sign an offer? Aside from like smiling and being yourself, which I'm sure helps.
Yeah. I mean, I think the difficulty is that there's a space, there's a little bit of arrogance in regards to that, right? The question I want to, I ask people all the time is like, define your hard, right? Like you can go work at this other organization and the hard does not feel good, right? The hard feels miserable. Or you can come to a space in which the hard is going to feel purposeful. It's going to feel fruitful. It's going to put you in this space where like what once felt hard feels easy because you're winning. And I think what I'm really, really clear about people is second place is the first place loser, right? And so we don't operate in a mindset of coming in second. The goal is when you come to NCS is that you are really, really conscious that we are about to build a high school that is nationally recognized and known. And that doesn't come with you understanding the level of perseverance, grit, belief that that's going to require, and that ultimately means that as an individual you are in the business of making sacrifices for the team, sacrifices for children. And I think that there's a space in which when I do have a chance and opportunity to speak and pitch that to a candidate, they know that I'm genuine. Like they can it's palpable, they can feel it, that like this guy really believes the Kool-Aid that he's trying to have me drink right now. And it's
Yeah.
because we play for championships. And for me, our championship is how many kids cross the stage and who they are when they cross the stage. Right. And so we can't second guess that work. And I think that there's a space in which I'm now at the point in my career where I have the luxury of saying things like Google me and having the track record. I think it was the Indiana football coach when he was first hired for Indiana. And they asked him a question as to like, why would players come play for you? And he was like, Google me, I win. Next question. Right. And the thing that I would say to people is like, you don't have to believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. Look at the previous schools that I've been at. There's clear enough evidence that like I build excellent schools. And so that doesn't come without you understanding the team first mentality that we have here. And if you want to be part of a winning team, if you want to experience what it feels like to see the best version of children and the best version of adults possible, then this is the team that you want to be on.
I love that. Okay, here's my last question. What's your best advice for a first time hiring manager, like a principal in their first year of hiring?
Be willing to work on your end, right? We often think that the responsibility is to hire so that we have to do less. And that's actually not the work. I would rather hire someone with grit and needs a lot of development in regards to the teaching practice than someone who's like, I know all the pedagogy and what have you not, but I'm not going to show up the way that you need me to. And so you have to be in a space where like you are hiring knowing that you are going to have to work. So the question, what is it that you're going to be working at? Are you going to be working at supporting someone showing up to work on time? Are you going to be supporting someone not quitting every single day? Or are you going to be working at their craft? Do you get to continue being a teacher? And for me, being the leader of the school means that I never forget what the experience was in the classroom. And I never forget that my primary title is educator, right? And so that means that like I hire knowing that I'm going to educate. So the things that I'm looking for is, are you teachable, right? Like, can I know that like when I ask you for 2 hours worth of homework, you go home and you do the homework and you come back prepared, versus am I hiring someone that's not going to be invested in understanding that we are not the best versions of ourselves today, that we are not a completed product. And so, I would say to a first time manager, just be really, really thoughtful about the work that you're going to have to do with the team that you hire. And so don't be afraid to work hard. Be cautious about the perfect candidate because it feels like you're not going to have to work.
Yeah.
That's a bad road to go down.
Can I see one last question? It wasn't on the list, but so you really have a growth mindset around people as long as they have a growth mindset about themselves and are open to feedback. Can you talk about how that applies to a demo lesson?
I think that there's a space in which making an assumption that someone can be excellent in that space, considering that they don't know the kids. Yeah. What I care more about when a demo lesson is being done is like, what was the level of effort and commitment that I saw to you trying to build relationships? Mm-hmm. What was your understanding of the content? And then the secret part that candidates are not aware about is when they leave the room, I say to the kids, would you want this person to be your teacher? And believe it or not, they're the client, right? Yes. And they can tell you with clarity as to like, yes or no, whether this person is going to be a right fit. And I think that there's a space in which like you have to be super intentional around giving kids the opportunity to understand what is high value talent right? Give them the right experiences so that they're allowed to be better judges of people's, work that they're going to put in front of them. And so there's a space in which, like, you also have to build the capacity in children so that they understand, like, this is the person that's going to tell you to sit down.
Right.
This is the person that's going to hold you accountable. Do you feel like this person can hold you accountable? Do you feel like this person can tell you to sit down? Do you
Mm,
feel like this person is going to call your mom or dad when you're not doing the right thing? Because believe it or not, inherently, children value structure, they
yep.
value clarity. And so I'm going to ask them, do you think that this person is going to bring you clarity? Are they going to bring you structure? Are they going to hold you accountable? And those are some of the intangibles
Yeah. I love
that
that.
you want to kind of look for in an interview, that goes back to the thing about grit. I exist in the space, Taylor, where, like, I think that there is nobody in the world. If there was a America's Got Talent for Teachers showcase, I'm winning it. I'm winning the grand prize. Like, nobody can out teach me in a classroom. And
Okay.
so my responsibility is to create excellent teachers. My responsibility is not to assume that I'm hiring excellent teachers, because you got to bring your skill set, and then you got to understand, how does that fit in the NCS model?
Mm,
How does that fit in regards to driving excellence? How does your style fit on a team? And so there's more elements that, like, I just have to see if you have complementary pieces
mhm.
to the team when I'm observing a demo.
I love that. Thank you for explaining that. And then lastly, is there anything you want to plug? Any, upcoming roles that you have open? Talk about your school, anything like that. You're welcome to do it here. Like, when are
Yeah,
you
I
going to start?
mean,
What are you hiring for?
we're hiring for everything starting in the spring. We are a founding school. And so that means we are literally building the entire team. And the thing that I think I'm most excited about is getting an opportunity to, like, hear people's passions, see people's alignment. And I think what I'm very, very, very clear on is, like, if you want to win a championship, if you want to feel that you are the best at what you do in education, then NCS is going to be the space that you would want to add to your resume.
Yep. It's great.
And so exciting at what that process is going to look like. And it's a slow build because it's a founding school. And so we're talking about 1 year at a time. And so, that first cohort gets to be the cohort,
Yeah.
they get to set the tone. And I think we exist in a space in which, how often you get an opportunity to get it right from day one. And this is a dream opportunity.
Great. Okay, Lee, thank you so much.